Hello from Bilbao, Spain again. Another month has gone by and now it's time to wrap up things a little bit. So if you haven't seen the first part when I told about my first month here in Bilbao, working in Bilbao as an intern, check out the first video too. But now let's talk about April, how things have been, and I must say that when it comes to working in here, April was like totally different compared to March. And unfortunately, I have to say that it has been like different in a very bad way. I don't know how much I can actually tell about this publicly. Maybe I won't tell too much details, but in general, I have to say that the communication with my boss has totally changed, or I don't really know if it has changed, but because I already knew that her English is not good, but it has caused way more problems than I expected. Because like in March, when I had a lot of photography work, it was quite much easier, I would say, in a way, because my job was to go to different events or meet different people, take photos of their work. And I think that those kind of things are in a way easier to explain. But now in April, I haven't had any events where to go. I haven't met any new people who I should take photos of or anything like that. It has been very much more like theory. And for example, one of my tasks was to make a marketing investigation, like investigate different markets, for example, indoor gardening. And like at any point I didn't know why we are doing this, because the boss didn't explain it. Or of course she told me that it's important, also interesting, but important to know the markets if you are planning to enter for a certain market. If you want to, for example, start a business, you have to do this market investigation, and I do understand why it's important, but like it just didn't feel like a real work, because I wasn't doing that for a real company. It was just like a exercise that you make at school or something like that. And at this point I started to feel very frustrated because I didn't get any proper instructions once again, because the boss doesn't speak English that well. Like there were times when she just wrote like 2 words, like market research, and then I was like, okay, but what do you mean exactly? And I tried to ask this from her, but I just couldn't. I didn't get a proper answer, so I basically had to like figure it out myself. And okay, well, I'm quite good at that in a way, because I have studied marketing before. So I think that I knew somehow what she meant, but still it was very frustrating because this wasn't a real client work or anything. It was just like a exercise at school. So I have been very frustrated in April. And what else could I say? The communication again is like, sometimes I just feel like there is no communication at all, because there have been weeks when the boss has said to me that yeah, we'll discuss about the next project tomorrow, and then when I have gone to the office the next day, she hasn't come there, and she hasn't told me anything like where she is she going to come to the office, when she's going to be there. So then there have been days when I have been just sitting there wondering what the heck should I do. So I must say I'm sorry about using some bad language here, but it sucks. Like, it sucks a lot. And after a few weeks, this situation just continued day after day, week after week. I just had to contact the agency that found this workplace for me, and I tell them that things are not okay here. It's super difficult to communicate with the boss, and it's also frustrating that her English is so bad that I like really have to think how can I explain things as easily as I can. And I have tried like many times, but I still feel like she doesn't understand, or maybe then she just doesn't care. I don't know. Sometimes I've felt like she doesn't really care about what I'm doing there, or am I even doing anything. She's way too busy. She doesn't have time to like talk, have a proper conversation about the problems we have, or like I feel that these are very serious problems. I don't know if she agrees with this or not, but yeah, April sucked like really big time. So I have made a complaint about this to my contact person here, and we'll see if things get any better or not. I don't know. I feel very nervous about this because like I always want to avoid conflicts. I don't enjoy them at all. But after hoping for so many times that things would get better eventually, I'm just sick of this. Like the lack of communication and the feeling that I'm not doing anything real right now. So, like when it comes to my professional skills, I haven't learned anything new. I haven't done a single video here, and like that was the first or the main thing that I was supposed to do here. And like in the beginning, in March, I was just thinking that well, we are trying to get to know each other, and and I thought that that's the reason why my tasks were very simple, and I was okay with that. But like having seen that in April things didn't change at all, they just got worse. I feel like I wasted my time at work, and I feel very bad and disappointed, and it's very difficult to say it out loud like this, but I just have to admit that my expectations were totally different, and I am disappointed. And that's why I have also some days I've been thinking that I wish that I was in Finland, because there, at least there I would get to like have a real job, let's say it this way. And it's very sad because I was expecting a lot more from this internship here. Well, maybe my problem solving skills or something like that has developed. Maybe that's something positive I can say. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks. I still have 1 month left here, so maybe there is some hope. I really hope so. But yeah, this working culture here is very weird, and I've also been talking to my local friends, and I have asked them that is this like normal in Spain? Because I don't really, I'd like to believe that things are not like this everywhere, and they have said to me that no, this is not like typical, especially in the Basque country. So maybe I've just been a bit unlucky with my workplace. I don't know. I really hope that if I end up moving to Spain any day, I hope that I'll find a better place to work at. But I'm glad to hear that this is not normal and like this is not a personal thing, because sometimes I have this bad habit of taking things personally. Like I've been thinking that is there something wrong with me, or why is this so difficult? Why I'm not getting any real, for example, client work or anything? Does my work suck so bad that I just don't get to do anything real here? But after talking to my local friends, it has made me feel a bit better about myself, and like that this is not the personal thing. It's just that the lack of communication is not my fault, and the fact that my boss doesn't speak English, it's not my fault. And it's also unfair that speaking Spanish was not a requirement when I applied to this internship program. Like everyone has known all the time that my Spanish is not very good yet. I'm still at the very, very basic level in Spanish. And even though I have learned a bit more, of course, I can't use it as a working language yet. And like everyone has known this all the time, but still it just feels so unfair, because one thing that I have also noticed with my boss is that if I write her in Spanish, she'll write or answer me much faster than if I write her in English. And sometimes she hasn't answered at all if I have written her in English, and sometimes she answers but in Spanish. So it's like super frustrating. And even though I have already learned more Spanish and I can ask things in Spanish and understand what she says, it's still unfair, because there have been some other interns too who don't speak Spanish at all, and like they have said to me that it's just impossible to discuss about anything because of this. And yeah, I feel very bad for them too. Another thing that bothers me a bit is that when I've heard other people's experiences here, like about their internships and workplaces here, I've heard so many nice things too. For example, there is this one person who is working in, well, I'm not sure about the company, but anyway, in a company, and she gets to make videos there. I feel very jealous about it, because that's what I wanted to do here too. And then I heard that they've been having like some kind of evenings together. I think that they have like spent time together, like all the employees there have spent time together, ordered some food to the workplace and enjoyed lunch together and etc. And it sounds so nice, and I must admit that I'm a bit jealous about this, because like those are quite small but important things that make you feel like you are a part of something, like you are a part of a community. And I haven't had anything like that, or maybe once when it was the International Women's Day and we had this breakfast thing. I think that's the only event we have had together. But like I feel like an outsider at work. Like I still don't really know what my co-workers are doing. I think that they are doing like totally different things compared to me, and but I still I don't remember their names, and sometimes people just come and go irregularly, so I have no idea what everything else, what the others are doing, and there are days when I haven't, or there have been times when I haven't met some of those people for a week or something, so there's no a sense of community, and I have felt lonely at work, and it has been mentally very hard. It's hard to stay motivated or anything because of these things, and I must say that if I hadn't made any friends during my free time here, I think I would miss Finland much more. I'm so grateful for having these local friends here. We've had so much fun during my free time, so I'm just super grateful for that. And yeah, now I've been just complaining about my job so long that we could actually now move on to nicer things. But yeah, I made the complaint about my work here, and now let's see what happens next. I'll tell you that in the next video I'm going to make in the end of this internship. But now let's talk about some nicer things. At the end of March we had a vacation because it was Easter. I decided to take advantage of this vacation and travel to somewhere a bit more far away from Bilbao because I had more time. I decided to go to Madrid, which is the capital of Spain. I have wanted to go there many times and this was a perfect chance for me. So I took a direct bus from Bilbao to Madrid and it took about 5 hours to get there. I'm going to do a separate video about Madrid because I have so much material that this video would be way too long, but I'll show some highlights of my trip there. I arrived in Madrid in the evening and was hungry. My friend recommended this restaurant Igo Ramen because she knew that I love ramen, and this restaurant was very good. They had so many options in their menu that it was difficult to choose what to eat. I'll put a link in the description of this video so that it's easy to find more information if you want to. And if you love ramen, definitely go there and have a meal or two. I had planned some outdoor activities for the first day because it was the only day when it didn't rain that much. On my way to Retiro Park, I accidentally saw this church and decided to visit it quickly. I don't remember its name anymore, unfortunately. I'm not a religious person in any way, but I think that churches are very beautiful and impressive buildings. This is the National Library in Madrid. Unfortunately, I couldn't go inside during this visit because it was closed during Easter. There are books, vinyls, drawings, maps. All the written visual and sound documents published in Spain can be found here. It would be interesting to visit this library one day. This is Plaza Colón that is right next to the National Library. That statue looks a bit weird. There is also this cultural space named Fernán Gómez. I hadn't actually thought about going there, but then I thought, well, why not, because I was already close to it. There was a temporary exhibition that was about a Spanish designer called Miguel Mila. It was free, so I explored the exhibition. I don't know a lot about furniture designing or actually any kind of designing, but there were some interesting looking chairs, lamps, couches and everything. After this, I went to buy some snacks for my visit in the Retiro Park. This is a very big park, and surprisingly one could even get lost here easily because of the size. And it's very beautiful, and I went there at the right time because a bit after I had finished eating my snacks, it started to rain a lot. Some people didn't have umbrellas or raincoats, and they were running everywhere looking for shelters. There is this beautiful building called Palacio de Cristal, but at the time of making this video, it's closed. Fortunately, I had planned to visit a museum that wasn't far from the Retiro Park. I knew that it's going to rain the rest of the day, so I walked to the Naval Museum. The permanent exhibition of the Naval Museum suggests a journey through Spain's maritime history from the end of the Middle Ages to the present day. After visiting the Naval Museum, I went to another museum because it just kept raining and I didn't feel like walking in the rain for the whole evening. I had read about this museum called La Neomudéjar, which is apparently a less-known museum in Madrid. It is an underground industrial gallery of video art, avant-garde installations and paintings. I must say that this place was very interesting and even a bit creepy in a way. Okay, I must say this place is quite interesting. I went there when it was already dark and there were not a lot of people during my visit. And at one point I was sitting in a dark room all alone, watching a video that was a bit disturbing. But anyway, I think it was worth a visit, so if you'd like to see some alternative art, this would be a great place for you. On the next day, it was time to visit another museum. This is the National Museum of Anthropology, where you get to know different cultures all around the world with some permanent and temporary exhibitions. Would you believe that this is made of a fish tongue? Yeah, that's right. I would not. Then I went to the Royal Palace of Madrid, which is of course a must-see for everyone. I didn't book a guided tour inside the palace because they were already sold out, but maybe next time. I must say that this building is very big and impressive from the outside, so I can only imagine what it looks like inside. At this point I started to feel hungry and walked to the market of San Miguel, which is, I think, one of the most popular food markets in Madrid. At least there were a lot of people, and to be honest, too much for me. Maybe my timing was a bit bad, but the market was so crowded that there were no free seats, and I thought that the food was expensive too, even though everything looked good and delicious. I'd say that this place is a bit overrated in my opinion. So I decided to have a dinner in a restaurant that is close to this market. Because it was Semana Santa, there were processions in Madrid. I got only this short clip from one of them. This is Plaza Mayor, and I was very excited about my last activity of the day because I went to watch the musical Phantom of the Opera. I haven't seen a musical live for years, and after a very long break it was just stunning. It was in Spanish, but it didn't matter because I was already familiar with the musical. Oh, I wish I could see them live more often. After the musical, I went to a heavy metal bar, so the atmosphere changed quite radically. This bar is called Mission Metal. I think they played more like black metal. That's not really my thing, but it was close to my accommodation and still funny to see. The next day I wanted to see some alternative and gothic fashion stores in Madrid, because I had heard that there are several. This is the first store I found. Don't let the name marijuana bother you too much. It is a clothing store. Then I went to Gran Via, one of the main shopping streets in Madrid. There was a man playing drums with some pans and pots. He was very talented, in my opinion, and I even gave him some coins because he played so well. This is Plaza de España that has some different kinds of statues in there. Then I continued my shopping tour, or well, I didn't buy anything, but anyway. Here you can buy some Dr. Martens and other shoes. This is another alternative fashion store. It was big and there were a lot of clothes. Very nice store, but expensive too, so make sure you have money when you come here. Otherwise you leave with empty hands like I did. This is a second-hand store where you can buy clothes, and if I understood correctly, they weigh the clothes you want to buy, and then the price is determined by the weight. Interesting idea. This is Temple of Susu, and its style is much more like rock and metal. They sell, for example, band merchandise. If you are interested in different cocktails and or tarot and occultist themes, go to Medium Club. I really liked the decor in this place, and they have many interesting cocktails. In the evening it was time for some live music again. Bleach Union, The Raven Age and Lord of the Lost had a gig there, and oh well, I had so much fun. Especially Bleach Union was a great new band that I discovered here. On the last day of my visit in Madrid, I went to see some metal bars. There are many bars very close to each other. Too bad that I was too tired and lazy to go to them, so I just took some photos and videos of them outside. Well, maybe next time. Then I visited the History Museum of Madrid. There were documents, art, maps and other things related to the history of Madrid. After this it was time to head back home to Bilbao. On the 1st of April there was an outdoor market in Monte Serantes, a place that I have been before. I don't know what was the name of this market, but local products like food, cider and sweets were sold there. On my first visit here, I didn't walk to the very top of the mountain, but this time I walked there with my friends, and it was tough. But the views were amazing. Then we ate some food, and I took this. This is talo with chorizo. Very delicious. One day when it was very hot, I went to Plentzia, a small village near Bilbao. This is the so-called town hall, if I'm correct. There is a very beautiful beach, and I actually went to swim for the first time. The water was cold, but at least I didn't sweat anymore. Okay, I'm going to the water. Let's see how it feels like. Oh, it's cold. Oh. Soon it was time for another adventure when I visited San Sebastián. I had heard many times that it's a very beautiful city. First I thought that I'd like to spend a whole weekend there, but after my holiday in Madrid I couldn't afford a hotel or other type of accommodation there. I have to say that San Sebastián really is beautiful. All the buildings, parks, beaches. Oh, I really need to go back there someday. This is the aquarium in San Sebastián and it was very impressive. There's a tunnel that is fully covered by the aquarium, and if you're lucky you may even see a shark swimming right over your head. Because the weather was hot on that day, I decided to enjoy the weather on this beach called La Concha. Later I took the funicular Monte Serantes that takes you to an amusement park which is on the top. The park is small but still fun to see. I took a ride in the mysterious river and the views were once again amazing. Mitä täällä on? Peter Pan! Ui! Hyi, tuossa on eiku merirosvo ja luuranko. Pikkusen töyssyä matkassa. Then it was time to go to a rock and heavy metal bar that I had heard of. There were actually two and it was nice to have some drinks there before leaving the city. I'm actually, it's funny that I have to do a video about this, but I made some myth busting yesterday because I thought that people don't use dishwashers in Spain, and like in Finland it's a very common, normal thing, but here it's not. Apparently I actually thought that there are no dishwashers in Spain, but yesterday I went to a bar in San Sebastián and I found this. Look at it. I mean, it's the small things that make you really happy. I've been using sponges like for washing dishes until now. I'm so happy because of this. No more dishwashing with those kind of gross sponges. So yeah, you can actually find this somewhere, so this myth is officially busted now. As you may know, football is very popular in Spain. We were living interesting times because I heard that for the first time in 40 years, the local football club, Athletic Club Bilbao, had a chance to win this some kind of Royal Football Cup. I don't know a lot about this, so please don't judge me. And even though I'm not interested in football at all, this was of course a perfect way to get to know one more part of the local culture, so I went to watch the final at Plaza Nueva. There was a big screen, but the plaza was so full of people that it was hard to see anything. It was fun how people screamed happily even when someone almost made a goal. It didn't matter if it wasn't a goal, but a good attempt. I think that the match was very exciting until the very last minute. When people started jumping and screaming in the end, it was clear that Bilbao had won the Copa del Rey. There is this tradition that if Athletic Club Bilbao wins the Copa del Rey, the football team will sail through the river of Bilbao, and it's a huge event. I had work on that day and my boss told me to leave the office early because there are going to be a lot of people near the river. It was so true, and I even heard from a friend of mine that some children in her school had skipped school and had gone close to the river so that they would have good views when this boat called La Gabarra comes. It was crazy because I even saw people near the river in the morning when I walked to work, and it was like 10 a.m. So this really was a big thing in here. Look at this. People look so happy. They are wearing these shirts of Bilbao Athletic Club, and it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the boat is going to leave at 4:30. So there are many hours until that, but yeah, people are already celebrating. Oh my god! Okay, I must say it's a bit interesting because the one bridge that I usually use when I walk back home from work is closed, so I don't actually know how I'm going to get home. This is crazy. I decided to go to Getxo first because the boat left from there. There were so many people that I didn't see La Gabarra at all, and I was also surprised because I thought there's only this one boat, but no. There were many boats, so it would have been a challenge to recognize La Gabarra. When I had seen the first boats, I took a metro to another place from where I could see them again. Well, it wasn't easy, because of course thousands of people had the same idea. That metro trip was one of the craziest I have ever had, because some people were jumping and banging the roof of the metro. I must say that I was lucky to be here, because this really was the first time in 40 years that Bilbao Athletic Club won. It was really a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Here is the La Gabarra, but it was already empty. Getting back home wasn't easy, because many streets were closed, and there were so many people during the whole evening that it was impossible to use my normal route. I had to find another way, and fortunately I did. I walked to Echevarria Park, which is close to my home. It was actually a very good idea, because from the top I could see that mass of people who were on the streets. That view was crazy, and later I read from the news that over 1 million people were celebrating in different parts of Bilbao. It felt so weird that already in April we had some very hot days here, but I don't complain. I've been so sick of snow and cold weather in Finland many times, so I wanted to enjoy those days when it was almost plus 30 degrees. One day I went to Larrabasterra because there are some very beautiful beaches. These painted stones were funny. I also wanted to try to film some videos of myself for future use. I must say that this place is so epic that it would be great to have a professional photo shoot there. I stayed there until sunset and it was just impressive. There are many interesting towns near Bilbao, and after seeing almost everything in Bilbao, I have decided to explore other places. Because the weather just kept being hot, I went to Lekeitio. It's a small village that has one of the best beaches I have been to, and it has been a very important place for fishermen. I think Lekeitio was very pretty with its beautiful buildings and relaxed atmosphere. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of this building. There were some cats living nearby, and someone had even built little shelters for them. Then I walked to the Faro de Santa Catalina. The landscapes were beautiful already on the way there. I really love ocean views, so without a doubt I was amazed. I didn't visit the Faro because it was closed. This is the Palacio Curutzlde, a very cute palace near the beach. I don't know if it's possible to visit this palace, but at least when I was there, doors went open. It would be interesting to see it inside because it looks so cute outside. This is Puerto de Lekeitio, port of Lekeitio. Something was happening in the Independencia Plaza on this day because there were different groups of children dancing. I'm not sure if this is something typical for the Basque country, but it was a nice surprise. Here I'm walking to the island of San Nicolas. Yes, when the tide is low, you can actually walk to this island. On the other hand, if the tide is high, you have to swim away from there. The island is small but very beautiful. You can climb on the top of the island, but the terrain can be a bit challenging, so remember to wear good shoes when going there. Or well, I saw some people walking there with sandals or even barefoot, but I wouldn't recommend that. A tree growing from a tree. Interesting. I wonder if someone lived in this cave once. I walked to the top to have a snack, and this buddy kept me company. In fact, there were a lot of lizards, and I almost stepped on one of them on my way up. I also had a crab buddy on the beach. In the early evening there was a band playing, and this was another nice surprise during my visit. Then, one of the most exciting places in the whole Basque country, San Juan de Gaztelygatxe. This place is very famous nowadays because Game of Thrones was filmed here. I don't actually know the series. Yes, I know, there is a big hole in my knowledge, but maybe I'll start watching it after this. I had quite high expectations about the place because I had seen some nice pictures of it. Well, I was a bit unlucky with the weather because there was this kind of mist and we couldn't see anything. It was so weird because it didn't rain at all, but it was all white. In fact, I'd say it was a bit scary in a way. And the weather is very uncertain because for 15 minutes the sky was clear and the mist had floated away. Thanks to that very short moment I got some more clear pictures of the place. Well, Basque country can really surprise you. But at least I got another point of view of San Juan de Gaztelygatxe.
And there was a paparazzi watching me too. After visiting the island, I wandered there on some walking routes. The mist came back and I felt like I was in a horror movie. I must say that the Basque Country has really surprised me with its diversity and unique towns. I'll tell you more about interesting places in my next My Month video. That will be my last from Spain. Thanks for watching and see you again.